Justin Gaethje was supposed to fight Dan Hooker in a 5-round co-main event at UFC 313. Dan Hooker revealed on his daughter's YouTube channel that he's out of that fight. And now the UFC is scrambling to find an opponent. But you can't just throw anybody in there because Justin Gaethje is the human highlight reel. He was expecting a 5-round co-main event. You need to pick the perfect person that will bring the fight to Justin. My name is Angelo. This is Josh Thompson, and welcome to Bad Takes. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing good, brother, man. It's early in the morning here. The news was dropping last night, yesterday afternoon, but then I had to film my show, the Weighing In podcast, and basically what we did was we just basically said, hey, there's fights that we had talked about I think will line up really well. But I've been hearing now through the grapevine, through my little backdoored MMA sources, that it sounds like it's going to be Fiziev and him doing it again, running it back for number 2. The first fight was good, man. It was
exciting.
Fight. Fiziev being out, though, for a long period of time because of the knee injury, and then coming back now, that being his first fight back, oof, talk about not having any warm-ups.
It's definitely, the first fight was an absolute war. It was a back-and-forth war. There was blood everywhere. Fiziev turned into a wrestler in that fight. It was crazy. It was a crazy fight. It was a ton of fun. Because if I'm the UFC and you've seen Dana White's office with the board and they're trying to figure out, they're moving names all over the place. If you're looking at that board, you can't just look at the rankings and throw somebody at Justin Gaethje. The whole point of a Justin Gaethje fight is it's going to be an absolute banger. So you can't just be like, oh, let's throw Arman Tsarukyan in there, because that may not be an absolute banger. You need somebody who is going to go toe-to-toe with Justin and really make an exciting fight. So if they go the Fiziev route, that makes sense because that's been proven. We've seen it. We saw 3 rounds of it, and it was exciting.
I would agree with you on that. That's what we want to get out of Justin Gaethje. Look, we want to try to suck the last little bit out of him towards the end of his career of highlight reels. He is the human highlight reel, so he's known for that. We want to just try to get as many more as we can out of him for marketability, as the UFC would like to say, to be able to market it for generations of highlight reel knockouts and performances by him. But that being said, I would have liked to have seen the Arman Tsarukyan fight. The reason being is I want to know if Arman can basically get to the fight. This is a fight that says, hey, you're obviously in our bad graces. You're not in our good graces right now. You're in our bad graces. What are you going to do to make us put you back into our good graces? The UFC has been known to do this. Let me give you guys a little backstory. I did a show called The Blind Date. So it wasn't just me. It was Tim Sylvia, Pete Spratt, Tiki Goshen. We were all guys at the time doing the show. They had asked, and I was good friends with Chuck. I am good friends with Chuck Liddell. They had asked Chuck to do it. Chuck's like, I'm not doing the show, man. He was in a serious relationship at the time, blah, blah, blah. You know, he's like, no. But Chuck and Dana White had a relationship. He could get away with shit like that. They turned to Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz coming off of, I believe, his win over Robbie Lawler. He's coming off that win, and Nick tells him to go fuck himself. Basically, no, I'm not doing that fucking show. You're stupid. Da-da-da-da-da. Doesn't do it. Next fight, Nick Diaz is on the fucking prelims fighting fucking Joe Riggs. Off of his win, I think it was the next fight. Anyways, off of that little exchange of, hey, when I fucking put together a PR thing for you to do, you're going to fucking do it. That was the whole thing. We spend time, we spend money. This situation here, we spent millions marketing your fight, and you pull out because your low back hurts. I mean, I got to be honest. A lot of people are talking that he couldn't make weight. Now the UFC's like, look, I'm going to put you in this position. If you don't take this fight, we're going to extend your contract again another 6 months, and then we just won't fight you, which he doesn't seem to have a problem with because his family's rich, from what I understand. His family's wealthy. I shouldn't say rich. They're wealthy. They're well off.
Oh, I think they own an island. I think rich was the right word.
But that being said, though, like the UFC still doesn't care. They don't care what you have. They don't care how much money you have. They want to know, are you a fucking fighter? And in this situation, this might be one where he has to do them a solid. And if he chooses not to, then they'll just put him on the back burner again. That will put him even further away from a title shot. Look for him to have to fight 2 times. If they called him and asked him to fight this fight and he says no, look for them to backdate him for 2 more fights. He won't get if he has to win 2 more fights, he won't get another title shot until end of next year, middle of next year. That's it. That's how they operate. So let's go ahead. Let's say I said Arman because I wanted to see if they're going to make Arman make up for what happened. And I know maybe it was out of his control. What if it was his back? A lot of people were saying it was the weight, that he couldn't make the weight. He was too much over. That being said, Charles Oliveira has said that he will not take this fight. He's like, nope, I deserve. His manager said I should. He said, I will not take this fight. I will not be stepping in. Then you've got Dustin. Dustin's looking for one more fight, retirement fight. He is not going to fight Justin Gaethje on his retirement fight on 2 weeks' notice. He will not do that. He deserves more respect than that, all the things. Max Holloway is there also at 155 at number 5. He is not doing it as well. He's going to go ahead and sit out on this one as well. I would like to see the Max fight again. I understand. We could do that again, but we just saw it and it ended up in a highlight reel knockout. You're not going to be able to, you know how they make sequels?
Yeah, it's never going to be.
They always fucking suck. Like most, sometimes you can get them in fighting to, the Dan Henderson Shogun fight. It replicated itself. This is a situation where if you don't get that 1 second left on the clock type knockout, you lost all your steam.
It'll never be the same. Yeah.
Dan's out. Michael Chandler's already booked. You have Gamrot, you got Dariush, and you got Moicano and Fiziev. Those are the guys sitting from number 8 to number 11 that are ready to fight. I mean, those guys. Moicano's been very public about it. Fiziev's been very public about it. I think those are probably your 2 best options. But Neil Dariush doesn't seem like someone who will do something like this coming off of, he's been having a rough go. But on top of that as well, he is getting a little bit older. He's still young, but he's still getting a little bit older. I mean, he's got gray hair, like salt and pepper hair. He looks like he's fucking 60. Right, but a dashing, good-looking 60.
He looks like the best-looking dad in a neighborhood. Is what he looks like.
Yeah. I mean, bro,
looks like a regular dude.
if he lived in my neighborhood, I'd be fucking hiding my wife. Every time I wasn't home, I'd be like, "Hey, you can't leave. Just lock it. I got a ring doorbell, everything on every fucking room in my house, every door." Yeah, I understand. Outside of those guys, I mean, you could run them all the way down to to me, this was another idea for me, was Benoit Saint Denis.
He'll bring it.
Yeah, he will bring it. You know, and let's not forget, he had Dustin. He had Dustin hurt.
He was smoking Dustin, and then he got blasted in the face. And is it the antibiotics, or would that fight have continued? Were there weird circumstances?
But slowed down a little bit, but he got blasted in the face, and it just changed the way he fought. And he didn't have the energy to really come back after that. Yeah. So, but look, overall, I mean, Benoit Saint Denis is somebody. I don't know if he's willing to take that fight in 2 weeks. But look, let's remember, it was supposed to be a 5-round co-main event. Him and Dan Hooker. Whoever steps in can probably negotiate and say, "Hey, I don't need 5. I cannot do 3.
We got to do 3 here."
And I'm sure Justin would oblige. Like, I want to fight. I want to get paid. And so whoever decides to step in 3 rounds, I'm sure will be happy.
Well, so there's a couple options. So I agree. The realistic ones that were floated out there were Gamrot, Dariush, Moicano, and Fiziev. You're saying it looks like it's probably going to be Fiziev. If it is, of that list, that's not terrible because he's a dog. We saw that fight already, but it's been about 1.5 years, 2 years. It was a great fight. I would watch it again. High-level striker versus high-level striker, essentially. Very different, right? Technical Muay Thai striker versus Justin Gaethje. In the beginning of this, I said turn Fiziev into a wrestler. I meant to say turn Justin into a wrestler. We know he wrestled in college, and he was a wrestler, but he doesn't use it in the octagon. That was his first takedown in 5 years in that fight, and it was a back-and-forth war. So watching that one again wouldn't be the worst. I don't want Moicano to step up again on short notice. I think he has so much goodwill, so much fan backing, and he kind of just got mauled by Islam, but that was expected. Good for him, short notice, all the things.
Everyone's got mauled by Islam.
Yeah, correct. So, yeah, you kind of get one. But if he steps up again on short notice, he's not fully training, not fully whatever, and it doesn't go the way he's supposed to go with Gaethje, that sets him so far back.
I don't think it does. You say that,
you don't think so?
No, let's remember, who made their career doing this? Cowboy Cerrone. Sure. Never did it set him back. Now, he did lose position where he should have fought for titles. He should have done it didn't come to fruition because he did that. But I think with Moicano, I don't think it sets him too far back. Look, if he loses to Justin Gaethje, who's been in camp and he does the UFC a solid, they're not going to drop him. They're going to keep him right here in that hole. He'll stay at number 10.
Yeah.
He'll stay there. But his next fight after that, he'll have to get a win. 100%.
Yeah, you can't drop 3.
No, you can't drop 3. That's one. But then also, 2, they'll do him a solid, though. They'll give him somebody probably a little bit outside the rankings or somebody that they feel like is very beatable, maybe a Michael Chandler. They might give him somebody like that, who obviously.
Or the Patty fight. Yeah,
he's been begging for that. Or the Patty fight.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Michael Chandler's fighting Patty, but
Yeah.
the way the timing works out, they could have that. I mean, that's definitely a fight they've hyped, and
Mhm.
rankings wouldn't really matter necessarily in that fight, no matter
Yeah.
what the outcomes are.
Let me play a little like chess kind of like roulette here. Is what if we move Chandler up to fight Justin Gaethje and we just move Moicano right in to fight Patty?
That's not honestly, that's a great idea, because then you get two fights that everybody wanted to see. Because Chandler and Gaethje, we also saw that fight. That was a great fight. We know Michael Chandler's.
I mean, he lost. He got blown out 30-20.
He got blown out, but Michael Chandler just brings it.
Yeah,
He comes forward, he bombs away, he just brings it.
I think one
But
judge
this is
had a 30-26. It was like he got dogged.
Dan hated that fight. I guess I'm just partial to Michael Chandler fights, because I just know he's going to be exciting for the most part. Even in his last fight, he was getting out wrestled. He still did what he could on his side to try to make it fun. But
Couldn't do shit.
he didn't have success, but he did jump backwards.
Oh, that
was fun.
Oh, wonderful. That was nothing. Absolutely nothing. When you got a world-class jiu-jitsu guy on your back, you're like, okay, we're going to go for a ride. All right, I land. Ooh, that sucks. Seconds left. I'm just going to hold on to you.
So if we look at the 155 pounders, it seems like Fiziev makes the most sense. But if we go back and look at the 145 pounders, right? This is short notice. Somebody coming up could come up in weight. We got Volkanovski. That's not going to happen. And Diego Lopez obviously isn't going to happen. They're not going to do Movsar Evloev, because that wouldn't be the exciting fight that everybody's looking for. Yair Rodriguez is booked, but that could be fun. Brian Ortega could potentially be fun. If we keep going, there's a million names on this list, but the biggest one is Ilia Topuria. We know he vacated the featherweight belt. I think he's a little too calculated, a little too accomplished for a wild, short notice fight like this. But him going up to lightweight to fight Justin Gaethje would be an amazing first fight at lightweight.
It's funny. I saw everyone going, he's so above taking this fight. And
No,
he's not.
No.
He's not so above it. But taking it under these circumstances, I would probably start to agree. Like, look, you just beat Max Holloway, who just beat Justin Gaethje. Why would I want to fight him? Max just was winning on all cards and then knocked him out with the second left. Like, if I'm Ilia Topuria, like, I don't gain anything other than the number 3 ranking if I do beat him, which is a huge deal. But I've already beaten Max, who just beat Justin Gaethje. I know we're not doing MMA math here, because I mean my math
doesn't work. Yeah,
MMA math just doesn't work. And so, all this being said, I think Ilia would be out. I don't think his manager would allow him to do that.
He's too calculated and too accomplished for a short notice, big risk fight. But
But look, for me, I feel like Ilia Topuria needs to fight Arman Sarukian. That's another way the UFC can stick it to Arman and be like, hey, you're going to end up fighting the 45-pounder. So you're going to get all the flack that Islam got for fighting Volk. You're going to get it now for the 145-pound guy. And if you can't beat him, doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good. The fight to make will be one of the guys down the ladder. You're going to have probably Gamrot, which I don't want to see that fight, to be honest. He's going to get wrestled to death. Gaethje is. I'm not really interested in that fight. Like you said, we're trying to get the last little bit of highlight reel knockouts or highlights we can get out of him, wars that we can get out of him before he retires and walks away. I think Moicano and Fiziev are probably the two best bets. And I'm leaning more towards Fiziev.
They definitely are, as far as excitement, some name notoriety there. They can, Moicano built a name for himself over the last year. Like in this last year, Moicano's become somebody that people love and rally behind. Fiziev, they already have had that footage, so they can really pump the hell out of it. A highlight, just continue that fight. I think the Fiziev one probably makes the most sense given the current circumstances if you're the UFC. As a fan, if I could make anything happen, I would do Ilia. That would be the one that I would want to see.
Interesting.
But the likelihood of that happening is probably pretty low. If we were a month out, 2 months out, maybe. But 1 week out, it's just not going to happen.
I would like to see, we're actually 2 weeks out, but 1 week of training and then another week. But I would like to see, actually it's less than 2 weeks because we're midweek now.
Yeah, it's like 10 days.
I would like to see, honestly, the guy that I would like to see the most would be Benoit Saint-Denis.
Really?
That's the one I'd like to see the most. Armand's going to wrestle him. Ilya's kind of in that position of like, it doesn't make sense. He just beat Max just beat Justin. And Charles, I think, is also too. He's paid his dues. He's done everything. Let's give him his time. I think he's on vacation now too, right now with his family. He's got his newborn, his wife, like all these. Let the guy enjoy his life. Dustin's already talking about the New Orleans thing. Max Holloway. Look, Max one time got called on short notice to fight Habib. Couldn't make the weight. That should tell you how big Max gets.
Yeah.
Hooker's out. Chandler, you could, like I said, you could shuffle him.
Yep.
That would be it. I mean, and I really don't want to see that fight either because he got dog walked. It wasn't a great fight. He got dog walked in that fight against Justin Gaethje. I could see Gamrot, Dariush. I don't want to see the Gamrot fight, the Benil Dariush fight. I don't know how much weight he cuts, if he'd be even willing to take that fight. But then you get into Moicano, who you know will step up. Fiziev, he's already been vocal about it. Patty could, I mean, but why when he's got, I think, an easier fight?
A much easier fight. Yeah.
And you got Jalen Turner and Grant Dawson.
Grant Dawson's the most boring fighter on the roster.
But look, calm down, buddy. Calm down.
No, I have very strong positions on Grant Dawson.
Okay, so look, Jalen Turner and Grant Dawson, both those guys don't bring the name value that Justin Gaethje kind of deserves. Benoit Saint Denis at least has some name value,
and he's proven to be exciting too.
Exactly. So that's it. Those are the guys that I would probably recommend out of all of them. That's it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, obviously, we're all hoping they put something nice together, right? That was the booking of this card. Here's your main event. Here's your co-main event. Should be a ton of fun. So I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what they put together. If I'm capping these with the odds, it probably is minus 300 for Zeev. And then we're going to, work our way down from there. But either way, it should be an exciting fight. I'm looking forward to it. Top heavy card, but let's hope they do us, the fans, a couple of favors here with an exciting matchup.